Howdy, friends. I've got a weird story for you today. One maybe you're familiar with, maybe you're not. You all know King David, right? That's kind of well, of course I do. I've read that one. David and Goliath, etc., etc. But before David, there was King Saul. And Samuel the prophet had been tasked by the people time and time again to say, "We want a king, we want a king." And God kept telling the people through the prophet, "No, you don't. That's not the best way to live. Take the judges over your places and go with this." But the people said, "No, we want a king." And so Samuel anointed Saul to be the king. And Saul, for a time, did great things. His first thoughts, time and time again, were for his people and not himself. And then it changed very rapidly. And Saul and Saul's sons, with the exception of Jonathan, just really started looking out for themselves rather than the king. And so Samuel tells us that the Spirit of the Lord was taken away from Saul, and he became tormented by the Spirit of God, whatever this means exactly. And all of his wisest advisors said, "Well, we don't know what to do, but clearly you're being tormented, and we need something to calm you." Now, unbeknownst to Saul, a young shepherd named David was out in the field, and his father Jesse was told by the prophet to go get all your sons, and they were all skipped over except for this little boy out in the fields watching the sheep. And they said, "This is going to be it, because God does not look at someone's size or stature or importance, but God looks at their heart." And so David is anointed with oil, and the Spirit of God comes upon him even stronger. And Saul is bereft and is being tormented, and his advisors say, "What are we going to do? Let's get a musician." And someone says, "Hey, I've heard of this musician. There's a kid, a shepherd that plays the lyre, like a harp, and he'll come." And so David is brought into the family of Saul and becomes his armor bearer. And whenever Saul is tormented, he plays music and it calms him. So I know we've talked about this before, but what kind of music calms you, right? You have different kind of music probably for different things, right? I mean, you're not always listening to the same thing. I found last week when I was trying to do my bike ride, listening to an album of one of my favorite bands, they go into some slow songs, and it's really hard to keep your cadence on the bicycle because you're kind of like, okay, there we go. And then you've got some songs that get going so fast and you're like, and you can't quit pedaling. Neither are good things. There are some songs that you listen to for comfort, something that kind of goes, and there are others that you put on to be in a better mood. There are those that when you're in a bad mood, you put on to make you even more angry. Maybe it's to motivate, maybe it's to make you think of better times, whatever it happens to be. It turns out that even in the scriptures, that music plays such a huge role. Now, we know that the reality of the story is that David did not compose all the Psalms. It's not how they were put together, no matter how many Bibles tell you that's what it was. That's not what happened. But the Psalms are this intimate part of worship, where there's poetry that could be put to music, that could be sung, that could be played to celebrate all the range of emotions, from lament and thanksgiving to joy. And so David is considered the author of these, in part because of his music that could calm even one that was tormented. So I hope whatever you're listening to these days, whether it be to motivate you or to fill you with rage, or maybe it's just a nice calming moment of peace, that you can take a deep breath and recognize that regardless of the kind of music, that music is such a wonderful gift from God to offer us comfort, to offer us motivation, to offer us peace, to offer us something different that our words just can't express. So put in your earbuds or your headphones or crank your record player, whatever it may be, and enjoy the beautiful music that is a part of the blessings of God. See you soon.